Okay, I'm going to change the oil and show you how to do it. First thing you gotta do is put it up on the ramps. Then you gotta open up the hood. I like to let it run for a couple minutes before I change it so the oil warms up. It helps get all the stuff that's kind of gooped up in there. Get it, when it warms up, it gets thinner so it comes out better. After you get it up on the car ramps, you gotta make sure to put your emergency brake on. And also put some blocks behind the back tires so it doesn't roll off. You're gonna have to buy some oil and an oil filter. You want to check your owner's manual to see what kind it uses, or a lot of times there's a sticker in your windshield from the last place that changed it. You can go off of that as well, as long as you trust that they put the right stuff in there. You're gonna need some wrenches, or a wrench, and or a socket. You'll probably want some paper towels or something to wipe off your hands. And then an oil filter wrench is optional. Sometimes it helps if they're hard to get off. I like to put down some cardboard under my vehicle in case the oil misses the pan or drips somewhere. Keeps it off my concrete, keeps it clean. And then some sort of a pan to catch the oil. This one's made for oil changes, so the oil goes down into the pan and stores it. When you get under your vehicle, there's going to be a couple different pans that you see. There'll be a kind of a thinner, flat one like this. That's for your transmission. That's not what we're working with. And then you'll have one that appears to be a little deeper like this and has a plug in it like this, which is basically just a bolt. That's the one that you're going to want to use. You line your pan up so it'll catch whatever comes out of here when you pull this bolt out, this plug. You need to find a wrench or a socket that fits. This one here is a 1/2 inch, but it varies depending on what vehicle you have. And then I like to use the longest one I can find, the bigger breaker or socket wrench, because the bigger it is, the more leverage you'll have to get it to loosen up. A lot of times they're pretty tight and take a little bit of pressure to get them unlocked. Once they get loose like this, then you can take the wrench off and do it by hand, or at least that, and then you can leave the socket on there so you got something a little farther away from the pan to screw on. That way you don't get your fingers full of the hot oil. You want to kind of be careful. Try to get your hand above it, not below it, so when you pull the plug out, you don't get splashed with the hot oil. And if you line your pan up good, it'll go into your pan and not all over your driveway or all over yourself. It'll take a couple minutes for that to drain, so I'll turn it back on when we get to that point. Okay, my oil's pretty much slowed to a drip, which means it's pretty much empty. So I'll put my plug back in. You always want to start it with your fingers and not the wrench. That way it doesn't get cross-threaded. If you get the grooves lined up wrong and it gets cross-threaded, you won't be able to put it in all the way and your plug will leak. And that's not good. You want to reverse your wrench so it turns the other direction and tighten it up. You don't need to super tighten it because you'll just strip it out, but you want to snug it up good too so it doesn't leak. Try to get your wrench off there. Like so. And then the next thing you need to do is to change your filter. They're in different areas on different vehicles. You got to kind of look up along the sides and stuff and see if you see it. This vehicle is a Jeep Wrangler, and it is up in the front of the vehicle. It's actually pretty easy to get to. I can reach right up there and screw it off. Some other vehicles, it's between the motor and the firewall, and is a lot harder to work with. You'll want to slide your drain pan underneath of it because some oil is going to come out when you unscrew it. I already made a mess because when the oil slowed down, the pan was was not lined up anymore, and I wasn't paying attention to it. So that's my bad. At least I got the cardboard down and it's on that and not on my concrete. So I'll see if I can get this loose by hand or if I need to use a wrench. It feels like it's loosening up. So I think I'll be able to get that one by hand. Let's see if I can get my arm up in a different way so that you guys can see a little better. Ow. Okay, my arm is really wrenched in there, but at least you guys can see now. There you can see the oil's running out into my pan. So like I said, once you get it all the way loose, you're going to want to tip it so the opening is facing upwards. That way you'll spill as little bit of oil as possible. Oh, all kinds of oil coming down. There we go. I'm going to set the camera down here so I can hand that off to my other hand and try to get my arm out of here, which is pretty much stuck. And then I just dump my filter upside down in my drain pan, let it drain out. With your used motor oil and your filter, you're going to want to recycle that. That's really nasty stuff. You don't want to dump that on your driveway or put it in your regular trash or anything like that. It's really hazardous. It's actually a carcinogen, so you don't want to leave it on your skin for too long or anything like that. A lot of places that change oil will take it for free and recycle it for you. I know Walmarts do it. Lots of other auto places and quick lube places. Some cities have like hazardous waste pickup areas or drop-off areas where you can drop off like your old paint cans and your oil and stuff like that, and you want to do that. Okay, before you put your filter on, you want to put some oil on this gasket. It'll keep it from sticking to your motor. It would basically bake on otherwise, and it becomes really hard for it to come off. This will keep it so it screws off easily next time you change your oil, and it helps it create a good seal. Then you can see where the old filter came off. It's right up here, and that's where you're going to want to screw the new one back on. Just reach up and screw it on. Again, you don't want to force it, you don't want to cross thread it. It should turn on nice and freely. Once it's on, you just want to hand tighten it. You don't want to use a filter wrench or anything to tighten them, because you'll never get it off again. They'll really stick on there good. You just need to snug it up good with your hands. That's all you need to do. And then you want to wipe off any oil that's around it so you can check later and make sure that it's not leaking. Then you want to look around the inside of your engine compartment for a oil fill cap. They'll say it will most likely say engine oil on it. This one actually tells you what kind of oil to use as well. You'll take that off. That one's kind of stuck on there. If you have a big container of oil like I do, you'll want to use a funnel. Depending on where it is, you might be able to just pour it in if you have the small bottles. It's usually cheaper to buy the big jugs. You also want to check your manual for your engine oil capacity. That means how much oil is supposed to be in your motor. Most of them range between like 4 and 5 quarts. Bigger trucks and stuff would be like 6.5 quarts. But you'll want to check and see and make sure how much your vehicle is supposed to have, because you don't want to have too little and you don't want to have too much. My vehicle actually takes 6 quarts, so I'll dump this whole 5-quart jug in there plus one of the small containers. You don't want to pour too fast, because if the funnel can't keep up, it'll just pour right back out or overflow the sides. You also want to make sure that your funnel is clean before you use it. You really don't want any dirt in your engine or anything like that. That'll just cause all kinds of problems for you down the road. So it's best to have one that you just use for motor oil and that you keep clean. You can put it in a giant Ziploc bag or something to keep it clean, keep the dirt off. Wipe it out before you use it. But I guess just make sure it's clean. Once you filled it back up, you're going to put your valve cover back on, your cap. Okay, the oil's in. Want to pull up your tools and your drain pan and stuff, and then pull your vehicle off the ramps. You got to remove the blocks from behind the back tire. Take your parking brake off. When you first start it up, you'll probably have an oil light on for a little bit until the oil fills up in the filter and stuff, or it shut off. Then you can slowly back it off the ramps. If you got a really low car, you want to go really slow when you back off, because it could catch the front air dam or your fender or something and crack that. A lot of vehicles have like warning indicators that tell you when to change your oil and stuff like that. It'll say like maintenance or oil change or something like that. I'll open my door so that mine shuts off. When I first turn mine on, it'll probably say change oil there. We'll see. I gotta put it in gear. There it goes. Change oil. If you need to reset that, you're gonna want to check in your book. I know for mine, what I need to do is shut it off. For mine, it's turn the key on and then press the gas 3 times to the floor and then shut it off. And then the next time you turn it back on, you won't get the warning light. See, now it's no longer telling me to change the oil. So mine's good to go. Yours will probably be different depending on what kind of vehicle you want. Mine's a Jeep, so it'll probably be the same for all kinds of Jeeps and Dodge vehicles. Different ones will be different. You want to check your owner's manual and see what you need to do for that. You'll have a dipstick. Typically there's a couple, one for your transmission, which is towards the back of your engine like that, and then one for your oil. It's usually something that'll define which is for which. Then you want to check your oil. You want to just shut your vehicle off for a couple minutes and then check your oil to make sure you got the proper levels in there. Once all the oil is run down into the engine, you can pull out your dipstick, and then you'll want to wipe the oil off. What you're looking for, I'll get that to focus on it. It'll have this little part with the hash marks on it, and the top of it is full and the bottom line of it is add 1 quart. There, you can see it better. The bottom of that area is add 1 quart, the top line is full. So that's where you want your oil to be. You wipe it off, you stick it back in the hole, put it all the way down, and then pull it right back out. And it should be right up to the top there. Put my finger there so it focuses. See, it's right to the top there. That's right where it should be. So, I got exactly enough oil. You want to do this after you take it off the ramps. That way it, your vehicle's level and you'll get a proper reading. So I've filled my oil, I backed off the ramp, checked the oil, made sure I had the right levels in. I need to check underneath my filter, make sure that's not leaking any. You want to do this after it's run for a couple minutes. And also, you'll want to check your plug and make sure that there's no leaks underneath there on your oil pan. As you can see, it's a little wet because the oil came out of there and it ran down, but I don't have any drips or anything, so I'm good to go. So there you go, you've changed your oil. Time to put your hood down. You're all done. Time to go out, grab a beer or a soda, depending on how old you are. And you just saved yourself a couple bucks by changing your own oil. I hope it helped.